Welcome to the inaugural show of Pelusi's Pick'em. I'm Julianne Pelusi with Alan Saunders. And Alan, thanks so much for joining me for this one. I'm really excited to get started here. We're going to have a mix of fantasy football, some gambling takes, and with like a big lean toward the Steelers on this. I'm excited to get started.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be adding this show to our repertoire here on the Steelers Now platforms, on YouTube, and on our audio platforms. I really feel like we've needed a space to talk about sports betting, to talk about fantasy sports. And, one of the things when we first got connected was you were like, yes, I want to do this. I'm so
Give me the gold
enthusiastic about
chain.
this. And so I'm really excited to be working with you on this project. Going to be doing this all season. Going to be every Thursday night here at 8 o'clock. So right before Thursday night kickoff, we got the Eagles and the Cowboys coming up. I know it's a little late for you. I don't know if you're going to be staying up. Peek behind the curtain here. Julie is in Italy. I am in Pittsburgh. So we're making this work technologically. We're going to have a little bit more of a graphical presentation. We'll probably have to wait for next week. But we're getting through it. We're getting you guys the content you want. And how's Italy? I'm jealous, honestly. I could make that trip.
Yeah, so far so good. So we flew into Venice, which is like so cool. Just all canals, no cars. And then now we're in Como on the other side of the top of the boot. And there are cars here. So I've almost gotten run over by a Vespa a couple times. But so far so good. We had a big tour today. It's been great. The food is amazing. And we're going to Rome next. And I hear there is a special spot for Pittsburghers in Rome that you know about.
Yeah, so you have to go talk to my friend Giovanni at La Botticella in Rome. It is as far as I'm aware of, the only Pittsburgh Steelers bar in Rome. It's right in the middle of the tourist district near Piazza Navona. So if you're going to Trevi Fountain, or you're going to some of the other main sort of sites there in the tourist district, it's pretty convenient. And it's a great little spot. I ended up there watching a Penguins game that went into double overtime until dawn when I was there. So Giovanni's a great guy, and really cool place. So you got to check that out. But let's get these people some fantasy football content. That's what they came here for.
Really excited for that.
Let's start with our fantasy picks or projections for this first week and Steelers Jets.
Yeah, so you know what? I'm going to go with Alan, and I want to hear your pick too, but I'm going to go with sitting Caleb Johnson this week. I just think that they're going to ease Caleb Johnson more into this offense. And from what I'm seeing from practice and reading and learning, it just doesn't seem like he has that complete trust of Aaron Rodgers yet. And then the offensive line is still getting its footing. It's still kind of gelling. And I'm just going to sit Caleb Johnson this week if he's on my roster.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable take, in that, I'm still high on Caleb Johnson, especially if you're in like a keeper or a dynasty league. I'm assuming you've already drafted, but I've been trying to get him in my one dynasty league, honestly, and I haven't been able to prime away. I still like the player overall, but I think early in the season it's going to be heavy Jaylen Warren. And the other part of this is, I think Jaylen Warren is a smaller back than the Steelers have been used to. Najee Harris, very big, very durable, was easily ready for as many carries as the Steelers wanted to give him every week. I think as the season goes on, there will be more opportunities for Caleb Johnson, because Jaylen Warren is going to need more of a break than Najee Harris ever did. They still found ways to get Jaylen Warren the ball because he was really good as a backup running back. But I think it'll be different with Warren. He's not that power back that just screams, feed me 30 carries. And so I do think there will be more opportunities as the season goes on. If you got a bench spot and you want to stash Caleb Johnson, I think that's a great play. But I'm definitely sending him this week. I don't think there's a lot of fantasy value. And I think this is going to be a low scoring game in general.
Right.
If I got a fistful of Steelers and Jets, I'm trying to find a way to get most of them to my bench, with maybe some few notable exceptions this week, because I think this is going to be a pretty uninteresting game from a fantasy perspective. But I do think in Pittsburgh there is one guy who's pretty much an auto play lock every week, and that's DK Metcalf.
So that's your lock of the week. And you know what? I'm gonna throw somebody else in there if you need to fill a spot and he's on your roster and you're debating start or sit. My favorite prop this week is John Smith anytime TD at plus 400, which also means, you know, maybe start him. Maybe start him. I just think that that's Arthur Smith's guy, and they're going to try to get him started in this offense and going. And I think the Jets defense is just going to swarm DK, and there's going to be that opportunity for John Smith in this game, and really high value at plus 400 too.
Yeah, I think all the Steelers tight ends are collectively undervalued. I think I saw
Right.
Darnell Washington anytime touchdown at plus 1100. Like they're
Wow.
going to be a big part of this passing offense. And so I think they're all kind of undervalued, and I think that's partially the market just not really sure where the touches are going to go. And so
Hmm.
this is a place where I think you could eat in week one, and there may be an adjustment, going forward once sort of the world sees, oh, the Steelers really are going to have three tight ends in their top five receivers and targets, which I think is totally feasible, especially in the early part of the season. But yeah, I think DK is a guy, really probably the only guy in the Steelers where if you have him, you pretty much got to
You
start
got
him
to.
every week, even in
Yeah.
what is a tough matchup against a guy like Sauce Gardner, who I'm expecting to go against him. I still think he's so much of the Steelers' passing offense that he's hard to pass up.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the other flip of the coin, I wanted to get a Jets prop in there for the people. And it's a pro Steelers prop here because Garrett Wilson over under is 54 and a half. I'm going to take the under on that. I just don't think that Justin Fields is going to be able to get him the ball fast enough with that offensive line that's probably going to struggle in this first game. What do you say, Alan?
No, I completely agree. Like the ingredients that you need to get Garrett Wilson going just don't seem to exist in this game, right?
Mhm.
Justin Fields not really known as a downfield passer, and an offensive line that it's probably not going to hold up long enough to get him time to let long routes develop. I think if there's a Jets receiver, I'm looking at a problem. I'm looking for like Alan Lazard because it's the dump off the check down game, right? Give me Brees Hall over receiving yards because Justin Fields has to be terrified at the idea of a rookie right tackle against TJ Watt, a backup against Cam Hayward. Like that's a nightmare matchup for
Mhm.
a quarterback in terms of pass protection. And I think Fields already naturally predisposed to just bailing anyway will be even more so if his offensive line is getting torched. And that's not to say that can't work
Uh,
well for the Jets. I think the Steelers need to be very cautious about how much pressure they do put on Justin Fields to try to keep him in the pocket and make him a quarterback and not let him beat them with his legs. But I mean, I just don't see how there's a lot of targets that are downfield targets to Garrett Wilson available to the Jets.
I entirely agree. And 54 and a half, that's, for your star receiver, pretty low. But I don't see him passing that in this game. And we'll also get to the Jets over under here in a little bit because I just don't see this offense working out for them. Um, but we also have some other games we want to talk about this week. So let's start with next week's opponent, the Seattle Seahawks. 49ers, 2.5 point favorite over Seattle. I'm taking the 49ers to cover.
Yeah, I think this is when I looked at all the games this week, one of the hardest to pick. I
Mhm.
think the 49ers are a lot better than the Seahawks on paper. The 49ers also were a lot better than almost everyone they played on paper last year and weren't that good. Uh,
Mhm.
and so I think in week one, it's really hard to decide how much the injuries. They don't have Brandon Ayuk. Juwan Jennings has been banged up, and I don't know what his status is going into week one. How much I think all the running backs have been hurt at some point this preseason. How much are the injuries going to affect them? Can that defense rebound? They've had a lot of coaching talent taken off that team over the last 2-3 years. I think there's a lot to like about the 49ers personnel. I just feel like the mojo is kind of gone. and Seattle's a tough place to go play week
Mhm.
one. Did you see the story that the Seattle police is having officers go undercover in 49ers gear to try to root out unruly fans?
No, I
That's
haven't seen that.
yeah.
That's
So they're
so dirty. That's
going
so
to get
dirty.
harassed so that they can arrest the fans that are harassing opposing fans. But like that's what you're walking into going to Seattle in week one. Tough place to play. I
Mhm.
feel like I just have to lean on talent here, but I
Okay.
think of every game, I'll take the 49ers and lay the 2.5. But I feel like of every game on the schedule this week, maybe this one might be the most difficult to pick. And of course, Seattle, Pittsburgh's opponent, coming to Pittsburgh in week two. Man, what a tough start that would be for them. They get a new quarterback in Sam Darnold. They're going to be
Mhm.
feeling good about themselves. And it's the 49ers at home and then a 1 p.m. East Coast road trip to play the Pittsburgh
Yeah,
Steelers. Like,
brutal.
brutal start to the schedule for the Seahawks. Could easily be 0-2 in two games that they shouldn't feel too bad about if they lose.
I'm just imagining Philly police doing that at the link. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, they probably should be.
they
Uh,
need 40 paddy wagons so for those of us. All right, we got an AFC North matchup. Bengals and Browns. I am taking the Bengals to cover at 5.5. Browns. I, I don't know if I can say anymore.
Browns. Browns is the Browns.
Browns.
Chase Claypool, not a great contributor overall to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but that line
Right.
will live in infamy. Uh, I don't understand how this line is only 5.5. I know the Bengals defense
Right?
wasn't good last
Yeah.
year, but I would be trying to tease this up over a touchdown. I think this is an easy win for the Bengals in week one. There was definitely uncertainty over the course of the offseason about what Bengals were going to show up in week one, but they got all their contract mess taken care of. I don't understand why this isn't more lopsided. I think the Browns are going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Like they don't have anything that should scare anyone on offense. Myles Garrett's banged up, missed practice. I mean, he's supposed to play, but doesn't look like he's 100%. I don't see how anyone can be happy with only 5.5 points in the Cleveland Browns.
What do you think Vegas is saying about Cincinnati with this with this
I mean, I
spread?
guess they're saying they don't buy that Lou Anarumo was the big problem with the Bengals defense and that a new
Mhm.
coordinator and Al Golden is going to magically fix things. First round pick and Shamar Stewart isn't going to be some kind of impact player game one. I guess I kind of get it, but like even last year, the Bengals kind of handled the Browns. Like, I don't think that there's a problem with the Cincinnati defense that Cleveland is going to expose. Like, sure, if
Mhm.
this was a team with, even if it's not a good team, let's say Miami, which I don't think is a good overall team, but has an explosive offense. So you're like, they could probably go punch for punch with the Bengals and make this game close, even if they're going to lose. I just don't see the Browns being able to do that against any defense.
And we got a big one coming up. The Ravens out of the AFC North heading up to Buffalo, where their hearts got ripped out at the end of last season. The Ravens are the favorites heading into Buffalo, and at 1.5. I'm going to take the Ravens. I think that this is the comeback game. This is the revenge game. I don't know if Brandon Bean did enough for the Buffalo Bills in this draft last year. And this is me coming from Buffalo, but I don't know if Brandon Bean has done enough to beat a team like the Ravens when they are coming for blood in Buffalo.
I don't know. You're a little far away, but I could actually hear the boos coming from the north. I heard
Oh,
them. Uh, I agree, though. I think this is a game that all of Baltimore has had circled since the schedule came out.
yeah.
They're out for revenge. The Ravens are not a perfect team, but I feel like John Harbaugh gets his guys up for games like this. I agree. I don't think the Bills had a great offseason. I still love Josh Allen. I think he is alone enough to do a lot. I think their pass catcher group has gotten better. But like I just think this is a game that Baltimore is just going to want more. They
Yeah.
felt like they were onto something last year, and Buffalo ripped it away from them, and they've wanted revenge, and I think they're going to get it. I think we see this all the time when you get this early season playoff rematch. I feel like the team that lost the year before wins more often than not. And what a
Mhm.
treat for the first Sunday night game of the
I
season. I
know.
can't
Oh
wait for
my
this one.
goodness.
I'm going to be booking through my post game work in New Jersey to try to make sure I get in front of a television for
Yeah.
8:20 for this one.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I am gonna be in bed still in Italy. But
Yeah, that's an early morning
uh,
kickoff for you there.
yeah, a little early morning, but I can't wait to see it all the next day when I wake up. I will be awake for these Steelers and Jets on Sunday. I am going to pick the Steelers to cover. I'll give them the 2.5. I I just don't see this Jets offense being capable of more than a touchdown. I think this is a really good game for the Steelers to get started and to try to figure out all the kinks, especially with this offensive line. I don't think they're going to be scoring like crazy, but I think this is, Aaron Rodgers' revenge game. He's going to get it done. And I don't think the Steelers are going to have too much of a problem with them.
Yeah, I think the one thing that does give a little hesitancy to me about this game is the fact that it's a new coaching staff for the Jets
Yeah.
and the ability for them to just have something up their sleeve that gives the Steelers trouble to deal with in the moment, and then maybe they find a way into an early lead and are able to hang on. I still have a hard time seeing the Jets win the game, but maybe just hang
Yeah.
on and keep it close, right? I mean, when you're talking about the spread, I think that's an issue. I agree, a low scoring game, though. I think both teams are going to want to establish the run. I don't think either of them are particularly good at it. So I think there's just going to be a lot of run, pass, punt to this game
Yeah.
from both sides. And I think both sides are kind of be okay with that for a lot of this game. I think both sides just want to run the ball more than they are good at running the ball. Not going to lead to exciting offense. What do you think about this over under? I see 38.5.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
pretty low.
it's pretty low, but I'm taking the under there. 38.5. I just, again, don't see the Jets scoring more than a touchdown. I don't see the Steelers having more than two, maybe. Um, yeah, I'm taking the under all across the board. The Jets, their just team total under is 18.5. I'm taking the over under. I'm taking the under. And the Steelers 20.5. I'm taking the under. I'm taking the under. I think this is gonna be a run the ball kind of game, and the defenses are gonna have their way in this one.
I definitely think both teams' better unit is the defense, and that. So, I mean, I think that tracks.
Mhm.
The one of those that I do think could go over that I would feel better about is the Steelers, and that's
Okay,
because Justin Fields turns the ball over a lot over the
that's
course
a
of his
good point.
career,
Yeah.
and so it's possible the Steelers defense can add to their points in a way that I'm with you on the Steelers offense. I think it's still going to be very much a work in progress. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. And
But good
so,
field position.
yeah, but I do think if the Steelers could get a turnover, that could go a long way in terms of making this game a little bit more lopsided in their regard. Of course, Aaron Rodgers almost never turns the ball over, so I don't think it really applies to the
Right.
Jets.
Well, Alan Saunders, we'll get to hear your pick for Steelers Jets tomorrow on the afternoon drive. I hear that's the place. That's the place to go to get your picks from Alan Saunders.
Yeah, so for a few years now, me and Smitty DB have given ours on Friday. So we're going to keep that going, even though we got the rest of the picks here, got some NFL picks,
Yeah.
got some fantasy stuff out there. So let us know in the comments what you guys like, what you want to hear. If you have a question, you can leave it for next week. We'll try to get to it. And really excited about doing this show every week.
Yeah, absolutely, Alan. And your pick is worth the wait, let me tell you. I can't wait to hear
Oh,
it. And thanks for joining me for the first Pelusi pick. Yeah, let us know what you like, what's working, what not working. You're not gonna hurt our feelings. We just want to know, what do you want to hear? What do you want to see? And hopefully we'll be seeing some graphics next week and like some cool bells and whistles. And if not next week, the week after.
yeah,
It's
we'll
gonna be
get it
great.
working. It's working. It's just not quite regular season ready yet, but we're getting there. We're getting
Yeah, well, hasn't started for another few minutes. So
there. Coming up
all
right
right.
now.
You're right. Thanks so much for joining us, and make sure you like this video and subscribe to Steelers Now. Thanks for joining us.